Okay, so if I'm going to be honest, there with me, I don't know if it's because we serve in different, ministries or capacities, but like me, I can almost feel sometimes like a burnout. I don't know if it's because I do a lot of video stuff like on the side or like on top of what I do like at church, but there's sometimes where I'm all like, it's not that it's repetitive, and it's funny because we've even talked about like switching things up, like when it comes to media and stuff like that, but there's times where I'm all like, okay, 15 to 30-second shots of the singer, 10-second shots of someone in the crowd. Like I remember before, like when I first started doing it, there was just this passion and like this drive to want to like find those special moments, and it's like, I don't know if it's me, but I'm finding it harder to find those moments.
So would that be like a ministry issue or a you issue?
I don't think it's a ministry issue. I mean, I think it's probably a me issue. Like, and I've said it, like, I miss the warehouse.
Because we're closer, we're tighter.
Yeah, I miss that.
It's hard to go through the crowds.
It's almost like how I missed it when we were first at Pastor's house, because it was just so raw and just so intimate, And then even at the women's club, it was like that. But
not in the beginning. I hated that transition.
At the women's club,
it was so hard for me to adjust. I was like, I don't feel God here. It's empty. And Andrea's like, no, Antoine, like that we carry the presence. And I'm like, yeah, but it's not the living room. I think it's because, we become familiar with a certain space. And then so when we come into something new, now you can go a step further and take it spiritually. We went from a house that was anointed, a house that was nothing but praise, worship, prayer, to a place where secular people went, a place where people were drinking and partying and cussing and doing all kinds of stuff, right? Because it was like a hall that would be rented out. So now we're coming in and now we're bumping heads, but is that not like the world? That's like saying, well, I like the people that were here and it was close-knit and it was this and that, but now that we're in a new place, we have to break it in just like we did before, and now with that transition of coming from Baldwin Park to Ontario, we got a bunch of new people. And not only that, but a lot of them are young, so that comes with like a lot of stuff and things that they've dealt with in their life. And,
I think with me, like, it's almost like when you find something fun to do, let's say if you decide to start like arm wrestling or model cars, it's almost like once it becomes not a job, but it almost gets to the point like, oh, well, now you have to make model cars. Now you have to arm wrestle.
Yeah.
It's almost like the fun, like the joy that I once had is slowly, like, I don't know, like dissipating, like that's why like it's, I'm personally struggling like when it comes to serving, and I try to keep the bigger picture in mind. Like, no, I'm here not just to serve my church and the congregation and, to kind of capture those wins, but I'm here for God. I think that's the biggest thing that's really keeping me going, and keeping that lit in me is that, no, I'm not here for anyone else. I'm not here for pastor. I'm not here for us. I'm not here for, the congregation. I'm here because God put me in this position to capture those moments, but that's something that I've just really been struggling with, is like, it almost like it became a job.
Now, do you think it's because there's more structure, or because, would it be more like free reign? Like if you see something, obviously, and this is kind of goes back to like the kids in school, right? Not every child learns the same. And we know that firsthand from our kids. All three of them learn so differently.
Definitely.
Right? And they're motivated very differently. And so now being on a team that leads worship,
I think that's what the
you have
issue
a
is.
lot of people that see things in different ways. Now, I
don't like that.
Yeah, of course not, because it's not the way you see it.
No.
But see, and I think that's, if you guys kind of touch on that and see where each of you shine differently and shoot in that way, think about it. The way you shoot only will capture the people that have that eye. Will only touch a certain amount of people. Then you have CO and Steph and Melissa and Maya. They all see differently. So your eyes don't see the way the Gen Zs do.
No.
But Maya can touch on that. You and CO are a little bit older, so, and even the same with Melissa. Everybody's going to see differently, but you're going to see things as a parent that CO may not see. Steph's going to see something, the same way as a parent.
I think that's my biggest thing, because even in jobs before where I have never worked well on a team. I've always I don't know if it's because I've had to really rely on myself. Even as a family, I guess our family is kind of a team, but like me and you, I guess it's different because like when me and you are out and we're shooting and we're doing stuff like that, like me and you function very, very well. I don't
hold on, but I don't see things the way that you do.
No,
the way that I
you
shoot,
tolerate me a little bit better than most.
But see, I see things very differently. If you make me shoot the way you want to shoot, I'm gonna hate it. Mm-hmm. But I think that's why we work well together. Is because you see something for like the video, blah blah blah. Like okay, you do it. But to me, like video games, I can't sit and play the same thing over and over again. Because I'm like, but it's different. So when you bring a dynamic of different people, it brings a fresh look. It brings something different. The worship team, none of us sing the same. We are all so
True.
different. We can sing the same exact song and it'll sound different every time. And that's the beautiful thing. That's why I like what Pastor was talking about last night. Stop looking at other people's fruits and gifts and start operating in your own.
Okay. So I get that. And I don't think I'm looking at other people's fruits and gifts in an admiration type of way. Like, I wish I had that. It's more like I'm looking at other people's gifts and I'm all like, I don't like the way you're doing that.
Yeah. But it's just different.
And I think that's true. It's I know people are different and we all do things different. And that's even something that I think me and you have had arguments about, like, when it comes to the household. Mm-hmm. Like we just see things,
We don't argue. What are you talking about?
Yeah. Okay, for those of you who know us, we argue. Okay, we do argue. We have had arguments. Some really big, like, out of control arguments, but I think
I don't remember those.
It's more me arguing with myself.
The Lord says all things are new.
Yeah, like I think before, like when it was just me and my camera, it was me and my camera. Like I didn't have to worry about anyone else. I didn't have to think about anyone else. I didn't have to think about a team. All I was focused on is finding the shot.
I'm going to really get to you right now, and you're probably not going to like me. What would happen if Jesus worked only on his own and didn't use the disciples and didn't send them out?
It would have been a lot easier.
Oh, you think so? You think so?
The disciples were knuckleheads.
Uh-huh. But at the end of the day, look at knucklehead Peter.
How many times he rebuked Peter?
Mm-hmm. But his very shadow was, every time he would walk by, it would heal people. It would deliver people. It would set people free. He still was able. Why? Because he had to literally just fine-tune and find the way that he operated so that he could shine and he can actually give his best the way that he was created to. And I think it's just allowing, I think for you, you want to be in control.
Excuse me?
Yeah, you want to be in control.
It's not that I want to be in control. I just want everything done a certain way.
The way that you like it. But the truth is, not everybody is going to see it. Now, there's a different side to that. It's not like, hey, this is the way we need to shoot, blah, blah, blah. We need to have this lens, blah, blah. That's a different story, right? But now having, well, I'm just going to sit back here and do that. No, there's a difference to that, right? Like, you're not going to just have somebody run and be super chaotic and do whatever the heck they want.
Of course.
That's different. There has to be structure. But I'm put you on blast. Where does Steph shine? What is she like? Man, when she shoots, she really does XYZ.
Steph's timing when it comes to the whip like she knows how to really, she knows the song. She knows the build. She knows when to transition from the drummer to the singer to the crowd. Like her timing is just on. It's good. Steph's timing is really, really good.
I'm not going to go down the list of people, FYI. I'm going to, I choose Steph because we've known her the longest. And friendship-wise, ministry-wise, like, you know. Now, what is it about you that makes what you do? That, like, what when you were capturing, like, that moment? What are you good at? And you can't say everything.
What am I good at?
Do you want me to tell you?
That's a hard question.
I can answer this for you.
My eye is twitching. I feel my eye twitching right now.
So, where you shine is that emotional part, you know, and that goes back to the guy that we met at Ignite, you know. I think it something clicked for you because the emotion, you're able to capture emotion in your clips. You're able to capture, you know, what someone is feeling, and as a viewer, we can feel that moment and even identify with it.
Yeah.
You know, in that time. And so, you know, now you partner with what you do. That's why there's multiple shooters. Because now you're bringing a dynamic of, man, Steph's timing on this, and then she's going from the musicians to this. So if she shines in the musicians, have her shoot only the musicians and the worship team. You shine in the crowd, so then you shoot in the crowd and you capture those moments. And even the leaders, when they're in the moment of that, you know? And so you find, what is it that they're like, man, you really get that good. And then now you're see, it's not delegating so much as, no, I need you to shoot like this. This isn't right. This isn't. We know when we tell our kids what they're doing wrong, they're going to continue to do it wrong because now their self-esteem is gone. Right. But now when you see the strengths of each person, and now you keep one person on the stage, you have another person down in the crowd. You know, whatever that may look like, but
I think you honestly really hit the nail on the head with that one. Because, okay, don't get me wrong. It's not that I don't like shooting you guys, but like to me, that's easy. You know, because like you guys are singing. You know, you're like that's an easy shot for me. To me, it's the shots that I love of you guys is not when you're singing, believe it or not. It's when you're getting just absolutely wrecked and God has reached into your chest and is just holding your heart.
It's emotion.
And, you know, when Andrea is on the floor and she's weeping, or she hits that heavenly angelic high, you know, like, or like you, like when you're just crying out and you're warring for people like on stage, and, you know, or you're leading people and you're trying to break through those strongholds. Those are the moments where I'm like, dang, like I love capturing the moments that I want to replay over and over again. You know, it's like those worship music videos. It's like, yeah, the worship part is cool, but it's those spontaneous moments where it's like, dang, like that one really resonated with me.
So you look in those moments and you see, I remember when I was at Bethel, when I was at Worship U, and there was a guy and he was always in the crowd, always shooting the crowd, never shooting the musicians on stage. And he would capture so much. He would even go as far as stopping in the middle of his shooting and he would be praying for people, you know? And that really, I was like, wow, that's so beautiful, because it's still his ministry. That's part of his ministry. That's a ministry that he's able to be in and operate in, you know? And so I was like, wow, that's really cool. I'm not saying that all the media team needs to start praying for people, because that'll be a little crazy. But, you know, we got to have order in the church. But, you know, it's finding what's good. And I think that like even with Drea, you know, as our leader and stuff, and the way that she delegates songs, the way that she delegates parts, you know, she'll be like, lately she's been like, oh, well, this is a song I normally sing, but you know what? Can you take the first verse and the chorus? you know, and then she'll take the rest of the song, or she'll have me do something and then I'll take the rest of whatever the case may be. But it's like, that's where you're strong. Maybe some of us might be, you know, we might shine in a lower tone. We might shine when the music is really, really soft, but then your voice sounds so velvety. Or maybe on those high points when you go super duper high, you can hit this, but it like rips whatever is holding on to you straight out, you know, and sends it back to where it came from. You know, there's so many different ways that we all shine. And even like when I've been leading, I come on Menstros, like I've been really like encouraging the band to kind of step out and start playing prophetically, because I really feel like we all have something to give on that stage for the Lord. Otherwise, we wouldn't have the gifts and the talents that we do, you know? So I think that would help you.
I think with me, like, I love that freedom of not being able to do what I want. Because obviously, like, you can't just do it. Everyone just can't do whatever they wanted to, you know? Like, I know you have to have that structure, but like,
I know what you mean, though. I know I literally know you want to be able to have that freedom to capture the moments that mean so much to you.
yeah.
So
like
now that's your question to ask your team.
If I were to go, like, if you were to put me like in a busy city and just give me a camera and let me free for like an hour,
Oh, yeah.
that would be amazing. You know, just to capture like strangers like walking or like whatever it is.
That sounds like an outing for you and your team. Because in a moment like that, maybe say, hey, let's all go to the mall. And I want you to capture moments that you think are special. Give them an hour and then meet up. Because at that moment, you're going to be able to see
What each person.
Yeah. And then not only that, but you're going to see the style into which they shoot. And now you get to partner them up. So then when Steph's doing the schedule, now you know who to put together, you know, and where to crisscross. So maybe it's you and CO that capture the emotion great, you know, then Steph and Maya can capture the thing, you know, so now you cross them and whatever, you know, and I think it'll really help your team to kind of like shine for the Lord and really showcase what it is that he's trying to get across, you know, media wise.
Yeah. Because like I never wanted, because even Dre has said this. She's like, you know, like she said plenty of times, like, I don't want us to just come in here and be like, okay, it's Thursday, let's do X, Y, Z. Oh, it's Sunday, it's 4 songs, you know, 45 minutes to an hour sermon, you know, like she said, I don't want it to just be like, we're just coming here for another service.
Right.
You know, like I really want us to, you know, really engage and remember why we're here. And like, as time wore on, like I started to forget that, you know, because like I felt like I was no longer doing something that I loved. I was no longer doing something that I enjoyed.
You were babysitting.
Yeah, I guess. But it's like,
I'm sure Drea felt like that plenty of times with us. I mean, it's not a bad thing. It's just that you're trying to, and then now where's the moments that you want to shoot? It no longer happens, you know? So it's just, it's so important to really have communication, but have exercises that show you what it is that each person is strong in.
that's good. Because honestly, even if you look at with what Pastor's done with me, you know, like, or with what Drea's done to you, Drea has never tried to turn you into her.
No.
You know, Pastor has never tried to say, oh, preach like me, talk like me, read and study like me. You know, he was always very encouraging about, like, was fine-tuning, refining, you know, my gifts and my character and the way I speak. Yeah. You know, like, I love that. Like, he'll give me examples. He was like, you know, when I first met Pastor, he would tell me, he was like, hey, Billy Graham. He's like, do you know who Billy Graham is? I'm like, no. He was like, watch him and watch him and study him and see like his tone and everything. He's like, don't speak like him, but just watch and see how he uses what he's saying to really get through to a crowd. He was like, because he's like, to be able to preach, it really is a gift, because not everyone can do it.
No.
He's like, you can have someone who talks very well and talks a lot and get them up here and no one is paying attention. Yeah. He was like, but if you don't know how to really get your message across, he was like, you'll completely lose everyone. And he was like, no one's going to even remember who you are.
That's what I say, literally, like, the last time me and Layla led, you know, and I told her, she came over, right? And I'm like, when you're singing, imagine that you're painting a picture for the Lord. What does that look like? It's not going to be bright colors and everything right away. You're literally showing him. I felt like I had to sneeze. You're literally painting a picture for him. So you're going to start out really soft brush strokes. Maybe you're going to start with the sky. Maybe you're going to start with the groundwork or whatever. And then you're going to start building. And then now you're going to layer it because the ground isn't only flat color. Now you need dimension and this and that and maybe the trees. And now as there are flowers on those trees, now you're going to really start to pop. And those are riffs, those are runs, those are, you know, those really powerful moments. And I'm like, you don't want to give that away. Like a person who can do like all these crazy runs, what good is the song if it runs the entire song?
Yeah.
It's beautiful. And not everybody can do. Lord, you know. I wish I could do that. You know, I'm sure if I really, really pushed at it, I can do. And I've done a couple, but they're very slow. Not, you know, whatever. I don't want to go off the freeway. But it's like with me and you. Like if we start out talking or something, I'm going to be like, yeah, babe, so you're going to be like, whoa, tone it down, you know? But I'm like, you know, babe, I was really thinking that maybe we can do this, you know? Like it's different, but it captures the attention, you know? And it's not like manipulation, but where's your heart? That's why I love the cost so much, because I really feel like there's a moment where you're like, God, if it costs me everything, and you're still kind of questioning, like, man, is it going to cost me? Am I really like, okay, if it costs me everything, you know, I'm going to do this. I'm going to give you, I'm literally going to be on my knees until they're hurting. Now, you're not going to just scream it out in agony. I mean, some people might, but you know, when you're really like, okay, here it is. I might give you like this little bit, this 5 minutes, but then those 5 minutes turn into 10 minutes and 15 minutes. And next thing you know, you're, you know, having your quiet time with God, and it's 2 hours passing. You're like, oh my gosh, I thought it was, you know, 5 minutes. And so it's something that, same thing with you and, you know, with every ministry I feel, and that like with me, and I'm like, Lord, what more do you want from me? How else can I grow? You know, and where else, like, where do you want me to, like, navigate this to? You know, sometimes I surprise myself. Like, sounds would come out, and I'm like, what? Like, I've never heard that before.
Yeah.
You know? Because there's something about releasing ourselves to Him and only doing, like, allowing Him to truly flow through us and having a heart posture of just like, Lord, I'm yours. You know? And the ministry with you, the same thing, you know, Lord, I'm yours. It's not a job. You are the first person to tell people, like, when you have a job and you hate it, what are the chances of you staying there and really giving 100%? You know, the same thing. So what about ministry? If it's not something that God has truly placed in your heart to have a passion for, what are the chances that you're going to do your job? Let's take it back to the first videos you shot of me.
We'll get into that in another video.
You know, but I mean, it's the same thing. It's like, look at the dynamic of it. Look at how much it changed, the transitioning from, I have to do this, to, man, I get to do this.
Yeah.
It really changes, you know? So I think that'll really help. Just my 2 cents.
You know, and I want that back. I want that enjoyment, that passion, you know, to come back to it. So, like, as we wrap this one up, like, what would your advice be to someone, not even in just media, but like across the board, who feels like, you know, they're getting like ministry burnout, to where it's like not even tired, but to the point where it's almost like
it's work.
Yeah.
really take a step back and reevaluate and go back to, why did I originally like want to do this? What made me choose this ministry, or did the ministry choose you? You know, what are you doing now that you weren't doing then, or what were you doing then that you're doing now? You know, remember why, your why. What is your why for doing or being in that ministry? You know, if you wanted it for attention, you probably aren't supposed to be there anyway. You know, but
what if I didn't want to be on media?
But that's your gifting and that's your talent. You can't give it back.
I mean, okay, honestly, this is what got me. This is what really got me. Mm-hmm. One day, pastor said, you want to find out what ministry you're supposed to be a part of? And I was like, ooh, this was still early. I was like, yeah. I'm like, is it going to be evangel? Is it going to be pastoral? What is it going to be? He was like, whatever irritates you the most. And I was like, oh. And I remember exactly what irritated me. I was like,
what was that? My phone videos?
So, so with cameras and just technology, I'm very technical.
Yeah.
You know, like settings and everything have to be pinpoint precise. Mm-hmm. Otherwise it looks like crap. Mm-hmm. And so, I mean, and people think like, oh, there's a little room for error. No, there's not.
Yeah.
With cameras, there is no room for error. Like if your shutter speed is too high or too low, it's going to look either like a really crappy 90s music video, mm-hmm. or it's going to look like a beautiful cinematic Peter McKinnon masterpiece, you know? And to me, I remember very early on, and it wasn't anyone's fault. They just didn't know, you know, and I was starting.
Hold on. FYI, remember, we all were learning.
Yeah.
From the very start. None of us know how to do nothing.
And so, well, sure enough, he was like, you know, whatever irritates you is where you should be. And I'm all like, I really wish the cameras and everything would look better, mm-hmm. you know? And like, that was the thing. And, you know, with that, I still remember like I'd have my little camera like going in and out of the rows, and no one, I wasn't part of a media team. I was just shooting little highlight clips, and I loved that. Like that was fun for me. That was like, there was so much enjoyment. Mm-hmm. There was no deadlines. There was no posting to the story before church was over.
But you did that before anyway.
What?
See, this is where you lose it, because you have to do it. Now it's an issue, but before, your video would be up by the time people got home from church.
Well, yeah, because I wanted them to see, you know, I think that's the thing. Yeah. Like you said, maybe it is a me problem, because, you know, once you put deadlines and stuff to it, I have a pimple right here.
Wow.
I think I'm more sapphire than I think.
He's all squirrel.
Because, well, think about it. Like, yeah, I believe in structure. Okay, I believe in technical structure, but at the same time, no chains on me.
You know,
don't put me in a box.
And that's so funny because there's times that I feel like I'm super like sapphire, very sporadic, very this, but then I want details. I never thought I would. You know, but I want to kind of have it more structured. But anyways, going back to what you said was, remember your why. You know, we do this not for ourselves, not for the glorification of anyone but God, Jesus. Like, I literally get so emotional when I talk about worship because I love what I do. I love that. Like, I get to have time with him. I can feel him in those moments. I know what he's doing. I can see. It's almost like the future that I have. Even though I don't see it, I can feel it when I'm worshiping. Look, I'm already going to cry. I'm telling you, I love him so much. It's not even funny. Like, when I think about everything that he's done and literally his goodness and how faithful he is, how can I not serve him? How can I not try to literally stand up there and be a testament in myself on what he's done? The only difference is you're capturing it. You're capturing those moments.
See, but I want that. Like, I used to feel like that.
Do what I said. I promise you, you will. When you find out where your team is strongest in each individual person, and then you partner them up, it'll be different. It'll be so different. You know? So, do your work. Or not the words of Manny, do work.
I appreciate that, babe. Thank you. That's honestly been something that's been like just really heavy on me, is that like
I know. That's what I tell you. Why are you moping?
dude, honestly, it got to the point
What's
where
wrong?
like I used to be so excited to go. I'm like, dude, I can't wait to shoot. I can't wait to see like what God's gonna do. I can't wait to be able to capture that, you know? And like definitely it's not for my glory in any capacity, because like no, that's why even when we're shooting, like I don't want anyone to know when I'm shooting.
Yeah.
You know, like I don't want that. Like I want him.
It should be so seamless that they can't tell apart who's doing what. But you won't get that if people's strengths aren't known and shown. You know, maybe they don't even know. Like you didn't realize what you were doing. You didn't realize the parts that you did. Just imagine your team is probably the same until you bring it up. Meeting, sir. Calling the media team.
Well, thank you guys for watching this episode of How Do You Get Over Ministry Burnout, or are you feeling burnt out from ministry? But I think what my beautiful wife was saying is that, to kind of wrap it up, is that you got to remember your why. You know, like my why was really wanting to capture those intimate moments that people were having with God, because I wanted them to be able to go back and look at those moments, and you know, when they're really going through a hard time, and you know, really life is hitting them, enemies attacking them spiritually, financially, physically, they can look back at that one 15-second clip and be like, nah, hold on, I may be getting hit hard now, but I remember when I was on the floor,
yes,
and God was reassuring me, he was comforting me, and I was in tears. You know, like, I'm going to be all right. That was what really drove me to want to capture clips for the church, because it was happening like so frequently.
So go back into the archives of the things that you shot and remember your why.
So that's it. Remember your why. Remember your why. Spend time with God. Remember why you're doing it. But above all else, we're doing it for him. Amen. Whether it's on the worship team, the media team, the ushers, the kids ministry, whatever it is, prayer team.
Yeah.
You know, we are doing it for God. You know, to be, you know, an example of him, to help others, to serve others, to love others. You know, and I think, you know, if you are feeling that burnout, you're tired, or you feel like it's become a job, you know, like I would recommend. Okay, would you recommend taking a step back?
Like, not a break, but like, it's just reevaluating.
Yeah.
You know, like, I had to do that a couple of times. Man, I'm very vocal. Like, when I get convicted of something, or I feel like the Lord I'm getting a rebuke or something. I remember, like, I wasn't reading and praying the way I should. And this was back, man, a while ago. But I remember, I think it was during one of the practices, Andrea's like, you can only ride somebody else's anointing for so long before it's apparent that you don't have your own oil, you know? So from that day, I was like, Lord, I don't ever want to be without my oil. I don't ever want to not, like, be prepared when you're in the room. You know, I think about the 12 virgins, and the ones that didn't have their oil, they had to go into town to go purchase it. Meanwhile, he already passed by, and the ones that had their oil, they went with him.
Yeah.
I don't want to be one of the ones that have to go into town in a time where I should be celebrating and enjoying the love of God. You know, whether it's on stage, or I'm out speaking to people, or we're here at the gym, or we're here in the studio, or whatever the case may be. I don't ever want to be without my oil. The Lord has given it to me, and he says, like, it's literally bought for a price, right? Bought for a price. And that price was him on that cross. And so I literally go back to, wow, God, like, you did this for me. How selfish am I that I can't do this for you? You know?
Dang.
So get your oil.
Well, thank you for watching. If you haven't yet, please hit the subscribe button. It would mean the world to us. I know it's been a minute since our last episode, but I took a step back and really started to evaluate things. And this is something that God really put on my heart heavily to do. And it's not for us. It's honestly just to kind of share stories like this, because we know that there's other people who, in millions of other churches, who are probably feeling the same way, you know. And I think my wife really hit it on the head, where she says you really have to step back and remember your why. Why did you choose to, you know, be on the worship team, or be on the prayer team, or serving kids ministry, or be on the media team? You know, and my reason was to be able to capture those incredible moments that God was spending with people, you know, and I forgot about that. You know, to me, it became such a repetitive job that I forgot why I was doing it in the first place. And, you know, I hope that you come to the realization too, you know, if you start to feel that way, like, hey, no, it's not about me, you know, it's not about the people, it's not it's about, you know, capturing those moments for God, so that people can remember that he is real, you know, that he is there with them, that when they are going through those really bad times, they can look back and see those captured moments, whether it's a photo or a 10-second clip, and remember, like, no, like, God's got me. I remember I was going through hell then, even though I might be going through it now, he still hasn't left. He's still there with me.
Now, see, if there is a point where maybe they do feel like they did it for all the wrong reasons, take that step, take that break, you know. And there's no shame in that. I feel like people feel weird. There's no shame in that, because, you know, it's only natural that people, oh my God, you're on the word. Oh man, I love the way you shot it. Naturally, it feeds your flesh.
Yeah.
You know, but if it's feeding your flesh, more than likely you're not in your word, you know, the way that you should be. You're not spending time with God the way that you should be. So maybe you do need a break. And there's no shame in that. If you need a break and you need to do that, please, like, do that. You know, it's super important to reevaluate what you have.
I think that's important too.
You know?
Like, have that open communication, like, because I'm super introverted. And so, you know, make sure to have that open communication with your pastors, with your leaders, with your team. If you're part of a team and you're feeling a certain type of way,
have a good relationship with your leaders.
You know, I always encourage, you know, like, our team, you know, to be very open and vocal. Like, if they're feeling a certain type of way, don't let a day or 2 or 3 or 7 or 6 months pass before you bring it up to someone, you know, because, like, you'd be surprised at how much that will build up and turn into a whole nother thing in itself, simply just because we chose not to talk. So
give it a for the enemy.
Yeah, 100%. So if you haven't yet, please hit the subscribe button, like this, hit the button, hit the notification button. It'll really help, you know, the algorithm and growing this channel. You know, we are doing this 100% for God. You know, we want to have people on for testimonies. We have a few things lined up for Christian business owners to be on the show to share their testimony on how, you know, God has really elevated them and why, you know, he's trusted them, you know, with their success. And I think it's going to be really, really cool. One episode that we have coming up is with
come on,
man, we're super excited to support her in her next step in her walk. Yes. And you guys cannot miss that episode. I've had a brief glimpse of her testimony and I was floored, and I told her, don't tell me no more, because I want the reactions to be 100%. I might even have to break it up into 2 episodes. I don't know. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. If you're on Spotify, thank you for listening to this. We appreciate you. We love you guys. God bless you guys, and we'll catch you on the next episode.
Peace.
I love you, babe.